Let's talk about Canada, our friendly neighbor to the north, famous for poutine, apologies, and Ryan Reynolds. It's a country that's often the butt of gentle jokes, but also a steadfast partner to the United States, sharing the world's longest undefended border and a deep, complex friendship that's lasted for generations. Canadians are known for their politeness, their love of hockey, and their ability to weather even the harshest winters with a smile. This week, that relationship got a little icy, and not just because of the weather. A chill swept across the border, not from a snowstorm, but from a political storm brewing in Washington. President Trump, in a speech to military leaders, revived his old joke. Why doesn't Canada just become America's 51st state? It's a line he's used before, but this time it hit differently. For Canadians, it landed with a thud, a public jab, not a private quip. The laughter in the room didn't echo north of the border. Instead, it sparked frustration and even a bit of hurt pride. Trump spun a tale of Canada begging for missile defense, then delivered his punchline, making it clear he sees allies as supporting characters in his show. The implication? Canada's security needs are just another prop for his political theater. This wasn't a slip. It was a calculated move, using humor to assert dominance and frame Canada as a junior partner. Trump's smirk said it all. He knew exactly what he was doing, and he wanted everyone to see it. The 51st state line is a recurring Trump tactic, part joke, part power play. It's a way to get a laugh, but also to remind everyone who's in charge, at least in his eyes. But this time, it came with new threats and a smug delivery, pushing US-Canada relations to a new low. The Canadian government was quick to respond, calling the comments unhelpful and disrespectful, while political analysts warned of lasting diplomatic fallout. It wasn't just a joke. It was the opening act for a series of actions that left Canadians feeling less like friends and more like the punchline of a bad joke. Across Canada, people wondered if the special relationship was starting to crack. The message, even allies aren't safe from being belittled. It was a reminder that, in today's political climate, even the closest partnerships can be tested by a single offhand remark. And this time, the consequences were real. The fallout from Trump's joke is still unfolding, leaving many to wonder what's next for the US and its northern neighbor. So, what sparked the 51st state comment? Missile defense. Trump claimed Canada called him desperate to join America's Golden Dome missile shield. His offer? Dissolve your country, become the 51st state, and get protection for free. If not, pay up. Between 61 and 71 billion US dollars. The price tag was so high, it was clearly meant to be rejected, making the first offer seem almost reasonable. This is classic Trump, transactional, domineering, and devoid of subtlety. No talk of shared values or mutual defense. Just a bill and a threat. Pay or get absorbed. It's less a negotiation between allies, more a shakedown. The message: Canada's security is for sale, but only on Trump's terms. The rhetoric didn't stop at jokes. Trump's administration hit Canada with a wave of tariffs the very same day, sending shockwaves through both countries. What started as political posturing quickly escalated into a full-blown trade war, with real consequences for businesses and families on both sides of the border. These weren't minor taxes, they were industry crippling. Factories that had operated for decades suddenly faced impossible costs, forcing many to shut their doors or lay off workers. The impact rippled through entire communities, leaving uncertainty in its wake. 100% tariff on Canadian pharmaceuticals meant prices doubled overnight, putting life-saving medications out of reach for many. Pharmacies scrambled to adjust, and patients were left wondering how they'd afford their next prescription. 50% on kitchen cabinets, 30% on furniture, 25% on heavy trucks. These numbers weren't just statistics. They translated into higher prices for consumers, lost contracts for manufacturers, and a growing sense of instability in the market. These tariffs weren't random. They targeted Canada's strongest export sectors, striking at the heart of industries that had long fueled the country's economy and supported thousands of jobs. The goal was clear: inflict maximum economic pain, not just gain a negotiating advantage. For many, It felt like economic warfare, with livelihoods hanging in the balance. Trade, once the bedrock of US-Canada relations, became a weapon wielded in a high-stakes standoff. Decades of cooperation and trust were suddenly at risk. The free flow of goods, once taken for granted, is now choked by a wall of taxes and red tape, slowing commerce to a crawl and straining cross-border ties. This isn't just a policy disagreement, it's a fundamental challenge to the partnership that has defined North America for generations. The message from Washington is clear: comply or suffer the consequences. The stakes have never been higher. For Canadian businesses, the stakes are existential. Survival is no longer guaranteed, and every day brings new uncertainty. For the relationship, it's a turning point, a moment that could redefine how these two nations interact for years to come. The border has never felt so closed, and the future of US-Canada trade has never been more uncertain. Tariffs aren't just numbers, they're pink slips for Canadian workers. A 50% tariff on cabinets? That's layoffs in Ontario, 25% on trucks, jobs lost in Quebec. These aren't faceless corporations, they're family businesses and skilled workers. Supply chains are disrupted, factories slow down, and communities feel the pain. The pharmaceutical sector, hit with a 100% tariff, faces job losses in research and manufacturing. The message to workers? Your livelihood is collateral damage in a political fight. Fear and instability ripple through entire industries. The real cost of this trade war isn't measured in dollars, it's measured in lost jobs and broken communities. For many, the future is suddenly uncertain, and it's all out of their hands. Canadian leaders didn't stay silent. As tensions with the US escalated, their voices grew louder and more unified than ever before, echoing across the country and beyond. Ontario Premier Doug Ford, after meeting with Michigan's governor, vented, "He drives me crazy. I'm going to ignore him." Ford's exasperation was clear, and his words captured the mood of many Canadians who felt pushed to the edge by the ongoing rhetoric. Even conservative politicians, usually closer to the US, expressed frustration. Their traditional alliances seemed to matter less in the face of repeated provocations, and party lines blurred as the country's patience wore thin. Ford's message was blunt: stop worrying about Trump, start focusing on Canada. He urged his colleagues and the public to shift their attention inward, to protect Canadian interests and unity. Across party lines, MPs called Trump's remarks offensive and invoked history, reminding everyone Canada has defended its sovereignty before. They spoke passionately about past moments when Canada stood strong, reinforcing a sense of national pride and resilience. Liberal MP Charles Sousa summed it up: "It's just not funny anymore." His words resonated with Canadians who once shrugged off the comments, but now felt a deeper sting. What was once dismissed as Trump being Trump is now a source of real alarm. The tone has shifted from bemusement to genuine concern, as leaders and citizens alike question what might come next. The joke has worn thin, the consequences are real. Canadians are no longer willing to laugh off the threats or the insults, knowing that the stakes for their country's future are higher than ever. Canadian leaders, united, sent a message: "We're not your 51st state." Their unity sent a powerful signal, both to Washington and to Canadians watching at home. The mood, anger, resolve, and a determination to stand up for Canada. Across the political spectrum, there was a new sense of urgency and solidarity, as leaders vowed to defend their nation's dignity. The days of quiet diplomacy are over. Canada's leaders are now speaking out, determined to make their voices heard and to protect the country's place on the world stage. The Canadian government responded with more than words. Industry Minister Melanie Joly condemned the tariffs as unfair and harmful, promising support for affected workers. The government pledged to help those hit hardest, signaling solidarity and action. Details of the support package are still emerging, but the commitment is clear: no one will be left behind. Strategists noted Trump's focus on Canada is a warning sign. Canada has become a convenient target. The rhetoric's sudden return, after a quieter period, is especially jarring. Ottawa's message: we won't be bullied, and we'll protect our own. The government is preparing for a long fight. Canada's response? resilience, and focus. Premier Ford's call to ignore Trump is now a national strategy. Disengage from the drama, build Canada's own strength. U.S. diplomats in Canada are trying to keep relations steady, even as the president stirs the pot. Canada is strengthening trade ties elsewhere, investing at home, and reducing dependence on the U.S. The goal: stability over chaos. Long-term strength over short-term drama. It's a quiet resistance. Keep building, keep working, stay sovereign. The message: we'll outlast the noise. This strategy, born of necessity, may be Canada's greatest asset. In turbulent times, resilience is power. Despite the tension, dialogue isn't dead. Prime Minister Mark Carney is heading to Washington for a high-stakes meeting with Trump. The agenda: address the 51st state comment, the tariffs, and defend Canada's dignity. Carney must be firm but diplomatic, seeking solutions without capitulation. Trump's unpredictable style means anything could happen. The summit is a pivotal moment. Success could pause the tariff war, failure could deepen the rift. Millions on both sides of the border are watching. The stakes: the future of North America's partnership. Where does this leave the US and Canada? A key alliance is now a tense standoff, with trust eroding fast. The ties, trade, culture, history are still strong, but the relationship is strained. Trump's approach has caused real damage, making Canadians question America's reliability. Diversifying away from the US is now a national priority for Canada. The upcoming summit is crucial, but the illusion of perfect harmony is gone. The path forward demands mutual respect and a return to shared principles. The neighbors are at a crossroads. The choices made now will shape North America for decades. True partnership, not dominance, is the only way forward.